Metal Jesus here, and I'm back again talking about my vinyl music collection. I get asked about this all the time, and this week I'm going to show you some of the more interesting and collectible aspects of it, including here's a really interesting vinyl record that's in color, pretty cool. I'm also going to show you stuff that is like etched. They'll have laser etching on it, different sizes, maybe alternate covers, and much, much more. This is going to be actually a really fun video for collectors. Let's take a look. So my record collection is several hundred albums deep, and it covers everything from rock, pop, classic rock, jazz. I even have some comedy records, but my main passion is 80s and 90s metal. I love that stuff. And one of the rules I like to have for myself is that I try not to have the MP3s on my iPod for these albums, because it really inspires me to go down into the man cave and put these old albums on just like when I was a kid. The rock band Kiss was one of the first obsessions that I had as a kid, and besides the awesome fun music, I loved the fact that their albums were packed full of goodies. Here you see a blood-soaked record sleeve, as well as a Kiss catalog where you could buy t-shirts and necklaces and posters, as well as a form to enlist in the official Kiss Army for only $5 a year. That's a good deal. And this album specifically came with a cardboard love gun. I don't know why they did this, but it's kind of funny that they actually had a love gun in the album. Now here's one of my favorite live albums of all time, Scorpions Worldwide Live. And I love this because inside of it, it included all of the dates that they played for this tour. And when you pull out the sleeves, it's packed full of tour photos, and it just kind of helped make you feel like you were actually there. Metallica did something similar for their Garage Inc. album. Here they packed the inside with photos as well as information about the specific songs, and then when the sleeves come out, there's a bunch more stuff. And that's what I love about vinyl, is that there's just so much space to put photos, artwork, lyrics, and a lot more. Here's another album from Kiss. This is Kiss Alive 2, and I love how you open it up and there's this awesome shot of the band live on stage, and then you'll notice the sleeves include information about their other albums. Again, Kiss were always trying to sell you other stuff, and as a kid, I loved it, man. I could not have enough Kiss crap in my bedroom. And this particular album also includes the evolution of Kiss, which shows Kiss through the years in big, bold photos. Again, as a kid, man, I love this stuff. Vinyl records really allowed artists to be very creative with so much space. And one of my favorite things that they did was take both sides and have them fold out to one picture. Pink Floyd's The Wall did this really well. I love this album, I love the movie, and this is really just a beautiful piece of art. Led Zeppelin 4 is one of the more iconic covers that folds out, and I like this quite a bit, but it's the inside that I just think is amazing. Here is Pearl Jam's Vitology, one of my favorite albums by the band, and it folds out into this really cool photo of the band kind of hanging out, recording the album. And inside you pull out the booklet with all of the pictures and the lyrics, and it's made on really nice paper. This is a really well-made album. Probably one of the more interesting albums of the time was Led Zeppelin's Physical Graffiti. What made this really unique is that all of the windows in the building are cut out, and so you as the owner of the album can actually rearrange how this looks based on the sleeve art inside. Sometimes multiple albums would be packaged together and then released in special editions. Here's a collectible edition of 2 Sarah McLachlan albums, and what's cool about this is that it was re-released with a booklet, and the record is created from 180 gram vinyl, which is preferred by audiophiles, so it's really high quality. Here's a collectible album from the 80s, and I guess this was banned at the time. I didn't realize it, but supposedly the long tongue is considered obscene. Here is the original cover for Guns N' Roses' first album, and I'm having to blur it out here a little bit because there's a bit of nudity, but it's highly collectible if you can find it. This record here has Jar of Flies from Alice in Chains on one side and the EP Sap on the other. But wait, there's something more. On the fourth side, they've added some laser etching of the words Alice in Chains. This is one of my favorite pieces in my collection. It's just so killer. Here's the album Paradise Theater by the prog rock band Styx, but there's a little surprise hiding on the inside of it. When you pull the record out and flip it over, there is an example of some of the best laser etching I've ever seen. It's just gorgeous. Now let's dig a little bit further into my collection and look at some colored vinyl. Here's a Kiss tribute album that had a bunch of people on it, like, Garth Brooks was on it, Lenny Kravitz, Stevie Wonder, Anthrax, but my favorite part about it was the red vinyl. Joe Satriani's first album, blue vinyl, very cool. Here's a newer metal band I've been listening to a lot lately. It's called Ghost, and this is a great album here, and it opens up. It's got all the lyrics, got a cool shot of the band there and the ghouls, and it comes on red vinyl too. Here's a collectible 10-inch record from a side project of Caius or Queens of the Stone Age called Desert Sessions in clear vinyl. But probably my favorite colored vinyl comes from Devo. This is their album, Are We Not Men? Now check this out. This is multicolored. I'm not even sure how they did this, but it's so cool looking. A lot of Rocky Horror burnouts follow my channel, so here is the original Australian cast album. Here is the movie soundtrack album. And to round out the Rocky Horror collection, here is the picture disc with Mr. Frankenfurter himself. And here's something you don't see very often, and this is a 45 of Billy Squier, and of course it's a picture disc. Everybody wants you. Here's an awesome picture disc from one of my favorite bands, Iron Maiden. This is Aces High. You gotta love that picture of Eddie right there. And now I want to mention the locked groove at the end of a record. This typically stops the needle from going into the label and ruining the record. Now, most of the time, that is a silent groove, but occasionally some bands actually put sound effects or music there, like Def Leppard, High and Dry. So when you reach the last song called No, 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 it plays a sound effect forever. Same thing with Slayer's Rain and Blood. The last song on the last side will play rain and wind forever if you let it. And now I want to show a bit more of my 45s. Here is a kind of an unusual one. It includes the all-girl punk band The Donnas and Kiss. And then probably some of my favorite 45s are from Def Leppard for their album Hysteria. The plan for the album was to release 9 singles, and each one of the 45s make up the bigger picture, the bigger album cover. And they almost got there, but it's still pretty cool putting them all together and standing back and seeing it, in its entirety. And finally in my collection, here is probably the oldest piece that I have. This is Rhapsody in Blue, and I just thought I'd show this to you simply because it's kind of interesting. It was made in 1941, and the record is super, super heavy. So again, just one of the oldest, kind of more interesting pieces in my collection. All right, well, there are some of the highlights from my record collection. Now, I'm curious, for those of you out there who collect vinyl, what are some of your favorites in your collection, or maybe some of the guilty pleasures? For me, I actually have quite a few of these kid records here. I have like Sesame Street Fever, a classic, Urban Chipmunk, and of course, Chipmunk Punk. These are awesome records here. I think I got them either from Drunken Master Paul or I think maybe one of them might have been my wife's. I have no idea, but they're cool to have in your collection. She's nodding no, so I don't know where they came from. I'm
Not me.
Okay. Somehow they ended up in my collection. I'd love to know what's in your collection. Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you for watching my channel, and thank you for subscribing. Take care. You okay? What'd you do?